Hi guys, so happy weekend. We are officially here, Saturday. And yeah, I just wanted to share some thoughts because it's been a heavy week, I'm not gonna lie. This full moon in Aquarius hit me with a bang. I am Aquarius Rising, so this 9 degrees full moon that took place on August 1st as the first lunation out of 3 this month that we will be experiencing happened on my Jupiter. It happened in conjunction with my ascendant, with my Jupiter. Jupiter is my skip step, square in my nodes, resolution south node. My south node is in Scorpio, ruled by Pluto. So and by the way, it also squared my sun. I mean, it did some positive things as well. It like sextile my Mercury and my Venus and my Uranus. So I mean, I can't complain, but it hit me. I'm not gonna lie. And I feel that a lot of people with this fixed sign energy, and also, I mean, air, like the air would obviously be very supportive because it was in an air sign, but I just feel there's so much going on this week, and I just wanted to make a little video where I just share, because I do want to make another one hopefully tomorrow. It all depending on my environment because I'm visiting my family, so it all depends on what's going on around me with all my nephews and stuff like that. So yeah, I want to make another video where I actually talk about the astrology of next week. But first I thought, okay, let's just close this week. Let's just close this week first because it's been quite a week. And yeah, it's just been heavy because this Aquarian energy is definitely telling us that there is this new chapter. It's coming. We all know this. We had the eclipses in Aries, and we had this new moon in a Cancer with the nodal shift. Now North Node is in the sign of Aries, so we know this is coming. Like everyone I speak to, whether it's my clients, my friends, everyone knows, everyone feels that there is this change coming. A lot of people are excited because for a lot of us, it's like, well, it's not really working anymore. So let's just see what else can we do in this incarnation, in this human experience. And yeah, and for me personally, it's been quite a week. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't want people to think just because people know astrology or they know tarot or something that they're like spared. They spared of a human experiences of like going through what everybody else is going through pretty much. And yeah, it's been interesting. Like I've been visiting my family. I actually traveled just before the full moon in Aquarius, which is why most of my recording took place just before that. And yeah, it's been quite intense because every time I come home, I come to spend time with my family, I'm reminded of my south node in Scorpio and the different opinions and different experiences people are having and the different lens through which they identify reality. And I really feel that this week it's kind of like in between two worlds. This is probably how I'm gonna call this video, in between two worlds, because we are like, there was this full moon in Aquarius, this culmination of the energy that was seeding in January, and since January we had all these things happening. At the time of this new moon in Aquarius in January, we had still everything in the old places. Jupiter is on Aries, and the nodes were in Taurus, Scorpio, and Saturn was still in Aquarius. So it was like a completely different world, guys. The beginning of the year, and now it feels like this year has gone so fast in one sense, but on the other sense it feels like it's just a completely different year. It feels like really like it's a different year to what it started to be. And that's because this Pluto dipping its toes in Aquarius for 3 months just changed everything, because this is the energy that's streaming through. But before we get there, of course, we have to go back and resolve these last degrees of Capricorn, where Pluto has been transiting through the sign of Capricorn since 2008. And during that period, Saturn was in Capricorn, and like Saturn was in many places, but of course, Saturn also has been in Capricorn, where it made conjunction to Pluto. And then, of course, Saturn has gone through Aquarius, and now Saturn is in Pisces, dissolving everything. And it just because we know that something is dysfunctional and it's not really serving us, it doesn't mean that it's just going to go without any heartache, without any pain. It's like, even when we know that, for example, a relationship no longer works for us and we're not happy, but it still breaks our heart when the things end, because it's just this there is an emotional attachment. There is this experience that has gone and now got to the point where it's just no longer resonating. And I feel that this is where a lot of us are finding ourselves at, like in our personal current experience, whether it's with regards to our work, our environment, our relationships. We know South Node is in Libra, Venus is retrograde in Leo, so of course a lot of exes might be coming into your life. Not mine. It's not happening to me, but who knows? Venus is not done yet. But yeah, from what I'm observing with my environment, with the people that I'm talking to, there's already been a lot of breakups, and I'm sure there was already a lot of makeups, where people came back into people's lives and for second chances, and who knows? Not my story, but it's happening. I'm sure it's happening. And yeah, this Venus in Leo is definitely playing a very integral role, because she's the rule of the South Node, and South Node is the resolution to Pluto square in the nodes, and Pluto is not gonna let go this time. He's like, well, we really have to resolve this square. And when Pluto is square in the nodes, it's like there is nowhere to hide. There is nowhere to hide. Pluto's gonna bring everything to the surface that is still making us feel disempowered, and that is preventing us from evolution, from stepping forward, from in this particular case, because it was the full moon in Aquarius, and we are entering the age of Aquarius, and Pluto will be entering Aquarius, and it will be living there for 20 years. It's all about individuation process, and we cannot be individuated and we cannot be free if we are externalizing our power. So I feel that this is something that many of us have been very aware of this week, that whatever the circumstance, whatever the details, whatever the people, the actors, but I feel that many of us actually, especially because of this full moon in Aquarius, that illuminated something for us, that brought something to our consciousness, because Aquarius is, well, Uranus as the planet ruling Aquarius is subconscious, because it's the planet that is already not being, we are not able to see Uranus with the naked eye. We know that the last planet that is visible to naked eye is Saturn. So Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, these are all subconscious planets, and they become conscious when we get triggered, when things come to the surface from the past, or like there is this deja vu effect where we go through experiences and then it's like, oh my God, I've done this before, I've been here before. So now with this full moon in Aquarius that happened at the beginning of this week, a lot of things got stirred up. They got stirred up and they got brought to the surface, and there were so many aspects going on. I'm not gonna go through this. I already made 2 videos about full moon in Aquarius, and yeah, it's all on my YouTube channel, guys, if you want to check it out. And I mean, we already building up towards the new moon in Leo. So yeah, so there is a lot going on, especially because of the square to the nodes. We had the Mars-Saturn opposition. We have Venus building up towards her second square to Uranus, because there was already one already, and now Venus is of course going retrograde, so she's gonna square Uranus again. As I already mentioned in my previous video, she's gonna also square Jupiter for the second time, and then third time when she goes direct, and she's trining Chiron and all these things. And Jupiter, Venus is very important, because Venus is the ruler of the South Node, and this is something that we leaving behind. This is something that we are healing and integrating, and I feel that this week especially there's been a lot of stuff brought to the surface when it comes to our relationships. It doesn't have to be just romantic relationships. It could be friendships, colleagues, family, whatever, whoever you're relating to, even maybe things in your life you're relating to. And that's definitely played a role in my life, that I'm reevaluating where do I want to go from here, and who do I want to go there with. Like, are the people that played roles in my past, are they still like playing the role? Are they, do I want them to play the role in the future? Or what are exactly the roles I want to assign to the people in my life? Because we are still in a Leo season. It's all like it's all like a stage. it's the story of your life, guys. It's the story of your life. And we know that Jupiter, the storyteller, Jupiter is the truth, is the story, is in a closing phase is in a closing conjunction with Uranus. It's gonna Jupiter is gonna conjunct Uranus in April next year, just after the eclipses, and yeah, and this is going to be something. We are culminating the story. We are culminating the story that came before, that is still the story of the past, because this is a closing phase to Uranus, and we know Uranus is going to be the ruler of Pluto for 20 years, and is very, very important. So that's why I feel that this full moon in Aquarius stirred so many things, and I feel that, as always, the stars are on our side. So everything is always happening at the same time, and there is always time for a breather. So this is how I always feel that the lunation goes. There is this build up, and we're like, ugh, you know, and then the moon hit us, right? Like, where there is a new moon, full moon, it doesn't matter, because with the new moon there is always the beginning and the ending and the beginning, right? It's always like the conjunction, which is the new moon. When the sun and the moon get together, you know, there is a point of conception, and something always ends for something else to begin. And with the full moon, it's the integration point, because it's the 180 degrees in opposition. Sun and the moon are 180 degrees in opposition. So it's a point of integration. What did we learn from the point of conception, which we are now integrating? And there is this like period where we like, you know, like in a sense, it's like harvest. Like, okay, I put all this energy and effort into it, and I learn all these things, and now I'm going to, you know, like pick up my fruits, right? Like the harvest time. So I feel that that's pretty much what we like. I mean, obviously, first there is this in conjunction, and then there is the trine, which is the harvest. But after the opposition, there is first the in conjunction, which is the blind spot, which is what happens right after the full moon, because it's like we are now integrating. We don't quite see everything yet. And yeah, and then is the trine, which is this like, okay, now we sat on it, now, you know, now we can move on, because like now the moon is in a sign of Aries. So moon actually already sextile the point. Moon moved into Aries today, so moon is sextiling the point where this full moon in Aquarius happened. So this is already like, okay, now we're getting more idea like what's going on here. But I really feel that right after this full moon in Aquarius, there's been this like kind of like a shock, because Aquarius is also associated with shock and like trauma, you know, when things happen unexpectedly, suddenly, we don't see them coming, and we don't always have the tools to integrate them. So that's why so many of us struggle with childhood trauma, because when we were kids, things happened, they were out of our control, and it's not like we had all this toolkit that we have potentially later on in life, so we couldn't integrate that. So that's what I feel that happened with this full moon in Aquarius, and I'm so obsessed with it because I'm Aquarius rising, and it happened right on my ascendant. So that's why I'm going on about full moon in Aquarius, because I'm like, oh my god, it really hit me, you know, like it squared my sun. And yeah, so anyway, without going into too much drama, because of course we are in Leo season, there always has to be some drama, and there definitely has been drama in my life for sure, because sun is in Leo. So, you know, like the full moon is the opposition. Moon was in the sign of Aquarius, but sun was in Leo, right? And yeah, and Sun and Venus are going to have conjunction next week. So that's why I want to make a separate video about the aspects that are going to take place next week, because I just want to have a little chat here. I just want to compare the notes, how this full moon in Aquarius showed up in your life, guys. Because for sure there were situations which I was like, I did not see this coming. Like, you know, like, I was definitely surprised, you know, this is a shock, literally. And yeah, and then is this Venus retrograde, you know, this Venus retrograde. She obviously was in a new phase to the sun, because she's going to have a conjunction with sun next week. And yeah, so it's this process of reevaluating, like, okay, now you know something you didn't know before, right? Because since the new moon in Aquarius in January, things happened. A lot of things happened. A lot of planets change signs. The nodes shift. Now the North Node is in a sign of Aries, and actually this, well, I mean, it wasn't obviously anywhere near exactly, because the nodes are still on like 28 degrees, 27 degrees, but it was already within the, you know, sign. When it comes to the sign, the full moon in Aquarius, yes, the full moon in Aquarius, it's by the sign, not by the degree quite, because it was white orb, but it would have trine the south node. So eventually the south node will get to the point of the trine to this full moon that just happened, and then obviously that would make a sextile to the north node in Aries. But obviously it's not exact, because there was no degree aspect. But when it comes to the signs, as the north node being in Aries and Aquarius, they naturally sextile each other in the natural zodiac, and so does Libra and Aquarius trine each other, because they are the air signs, they are the same elements. So in a sense, we could say that this is what energetically took place during this full moon in Aquarius, that there was something that might have occurred in your life, in your relationships, in your environment, that is helping us to move in this next phase in our life. That's why I call it like in between the two worlds, because we are like, okay, what the hell is happening? Like we know that all this going, but we have nothing to replace it with. We don't have full clarity of what is that energy that is seeping through, that is coming, and what is it going to look like at the end, because it's north node in Aries. Aries is the beginning of the cycle, is the first sign of the zodiac, so it doesn't have this previous experience of what is it going to become when it grows up. All it knows is I have this instinctual desire for something, and that's all we know. And that's exactly what's happening now, like with this full moon in Aquarius, that by the sign, not by the degree, but by the sign, trine, the south node, something might have appeared in your life. I mean, I can't speak for other people, I know it happened for me. Something might have happened in your life that just comes suddenly, unexpectedly, and suddenly you know something you didn't know before. You're like, your eyes kind of open and you go like, oh, I didn't see this coming. And now that you know, you cannot unknow it. So it's like, okay, what am I going to do with this, going forward? And in a sense, that's the south node in Libra. Like, okay, now you know how you're going to take your power back, how you're going to internalize your power, your Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn, like you are becoming your own authority. And we have to take the responsibility and becoming emotionally mature to be able to make the choices. And that's the only way how we will ever feel free. Because if we externalize our power and we give the power of attorney to someone else, we will never feel free, because somebody else is saying that, okay, I know better than you what is good for you. When we know that that seed is within you, the seed is within, nobody knows what is the purpose of your life. Only you know, because the seed is within you. Before you were even born, when you were creating this blueprint of your life as a spirit, in a spirit form, the seed was created, and you were born with it. So the seed is within you. Nobody will ever be able to tell you what is the purpose of your life, or only you know what makes you happy. Like, I mean, if they give you 10 flavors of ice cream, only you know which one do you like. Nobody else can tell you, hey, try this one, you will like it. Unless you try, you don't know, but you are the one that decides what it is that you like and what you don't like. And that's why this sun going through the sign of Leo is shining the light onto our Leo. What is your Leo? What is your authenticity, your creative self-actualization? If they give you a blank piece of paper, what you gonna draw on it, or which colors are you going to use? Because that's Leo. That is that essence that is within you. When you ask a little child, what is your favorite color? They tell you. And why is it that color? Like, what is the reason for it? Well, there is no reason, because it's this innocent energy of like, well, this is me, and this is what I identify with. And that's the north node in Aries. And of course, Sun, now going through the sign of Leo. And like I said, I don't want to go too much into aspects, because I want to make another video where I go into depth with that. But Sun going through the sign of Leo is going to trine Chiron, is going to trine the north node in Aries at the end of its stint before it moves into the sign of Virgo. Of course, it's also going to square Uranus in Taurus, because there is a natural square between Taurus and Leo. And and actually I think I believe it already squared Jupiter. So this is all happening at the same time. And at the same time also Venus is in Leo doing all these things, squares to Uranus, squares to Jupiter. The second one is coming on, and then the third one will happen later on in September, when Venus goes direct again. But at the same time she's trying Chiron, and Chiron is our wounded healer, and we know Chiron is in Aries, which is helping us to be brave, to be courageous, to step into this unknown. Because if we were really afraid of unknown, we would never get past our crib, Because if baby was born, if baby was afraid of the unknown, it would never learn anything. Anything, like just imagine those of you who have kids, and when you had little babies, you had to put like these borders everywhere, these boundaries, right? Because the kid would just fly off the stairs. Like it would be like, no boundary for me, I think I can fly, so that's what I mean. There is no such a thing as fear of unknown. It's the fear of the known, because we project in our past experience, because the ego that is trying to protect us is going into the database of our mind and saying like, okay, well, this is what we know, so we don't want to go there, so this is the fear, right? So with this Chiron being in Aries, Chiron in Aries is definitely supporting us. It's going, no, guys, we're going in this new direction. It's excited. Yes, we have insecurity for sure, all of us, but we're going there anyway, because Pluto is moving into Aquarius. We have no choice. That's it. And Pluto is square in the nose. We have no choice. Pluto is bringing all this stuff to the surface. Like, as I keep saying, I always come across repeating theme with my clients. And more clients that come to me are going through similar experiences, which is in a sense this completely breaking out of the shell, this, like if somebody put a plaster all around you and you want to break free, like this is not who I am, this is not who I am, this is what I was projected to believe I was. The South Node in Libra, Venus now going retrograde through Leo. She's saying, what is the essence of who you are? And especially now Venus being the rule of the South Node, it's like she's trying to help us to understand the past. Before, Venus was going through North Node in the past, for the past 18 months, since January 2022 until, just recently, July 17th, Venus was the ruler of the North Node. North Node was in Taurus. So this was an opportunity for everyone for the past year and a half to really learn about you, to learn about what you like, what you don't like, what are your priorities, what is your relationship to yourself? Because Taurus, what is this trust within yourself that you can survive, that you can support yourself, that you can create whatever you need, because you are the asset. It's no one else. Like if somebody took everything you own in your life, you still have that essence within you to create something new. Like if you change your job, you take in that thing with you. You don't leave it within your office. Maybe you leave the computer, but you take in that something that creates that something at your work, this product or something, whatever it is, service, you're taking it with you wherever you go. And that's Taurus, is the trust within yourself. And now Jupiter going through the sign of Taurus is definitely helping us to understand, hopefully, the truth about ourselves, the truth about us. And yeah, now Venus is going retrograde in Leo, so she's definitely helping us to like, okay, well, if you're breaking out of this old story, because it's just a story, it's not the universal truth, everything is just story. It's saying, then what does that make my purpose to look like? What does that make this new direction I want to walk into? What that looks like, what that feels like, because it's this childlike energy, Leo, we want to play, right? And Leo is important because it's in opposition with Aquarius, and we just had the full moon, right? Full moon in Aquarius. So it's saying, okay, we're going into this new path, this new direction, this new paradigm. We're creating this new earth where we want to be free and individuated, and we want to be able to be authentic and live the life in accordance with our needs and values and stuff. So what do we have to do to get it? Well, Mars is still in Virgo. Mercury, the ruler of Mars, is in Virgo, right? And this is supporting us because it's saying, well, there are things we need to learn. There are things we need to adjust because, like being the same people, we cannot create different outcomes. Believing the same things, we cannot create different reality, right? Because our belief system manifests our reality, because the Sagittarius comes before Capricorn, and Capricorn is Saturn is the manifester. It turns the form into formulas and formulas into form. And that's why Saturn is going through the sign of Pisces, because it's saying, well, this reality that we lived in until this point is limiting. It's limiting. It's three-dimensional. That's it. There is a limit to it. There are boundaries. Saturn. But Saturn is in Pisces. Saturn is saying, well, guys, actually, the universe is the limit. It's not even sky, because sky is still here on this planet. Go beyond, go further. And that's also what Jupiter in Taurus is saying. Think bigger. Think bigger. You are much more than you ever thought that you are, that you ever believed you could be. We are much more than that, because we are unlimited divine beings. Having a human experience is just a matter of, do you believe it, right? So I feel, personally, based on, how this week has gone for me, that there's been a lot of stuff being stirred up. Lots of stuff being stirred up during this full moon in Aquarius. And that's why I just started talking about 20 minutes ago, but then I got myself distracted by different rabbit holes. That's why the universe is so kind that there was nothing else happening this week. I mean, I'm not talking about all these aspects to asteroids and stuff like that, because that's not what I'm focusing on. I know there are astrologers that work with asteroids and all these kind of things. And I'm sure, well, and it is very valuable, but it's not my focus. So I can't tell you much about that, guys. But what I can tell you is this week was quiet. After this huge build-up towards this full moon in Aquarius and all the aspects we had going on, and now obviously some of them are, moving away from the, from the conjunction or from the aspects. Some of them are building towards it, like Venus. We know Venus is building towards the exact square with Uranus, for example. And I mean, it was already active during the full moon, but it's not exact yet until next week. And that's something I'm going to talk about in my next video. But there was nothing else happening exact apart from moon making its, as she always does, around the zodiac and the sun, the aspects to everything she touches, because that's what she does every month, every 28 and a half days. She goes around your entire chart and she touches everything. She touches everything, she makes aspects to everything, and that's how she makes us being aware of our life, of our reality, because moon is you. Moon is how you feel when nobody else is watching. Like, that's something that is within you that is telling you, like, yes, this is who I am. This is what I like. This is what this reality is like for me. So that's the only thing that was happening after this full moon in Aquarius hit us with a bang. The first lunation out of 3, like, get ready, because this month is busy. And yeah, there was nothing else happening. Just moon was doing many aspects, again making us very sensitive. It's like, okay, how does this feel to me? Okay, what just happened? Oh my god, what just happened? Like, how am I supposed to feel about this? How am I supposed to integrate all this stuff, right? And and moon was going through the sign of Pisces until like early on today. For some of you, probably late on last night. So that's again Pisces, the point of integration, the point of culmination, the point of letting go, because we had the full moon, which illuminated something for us. And then we had these few days after, like moon was in Pisces until yesterday. So it's like that was on Tuesday. Yesterday was Friday. So we had 3 days, right? We had 3 days to actually go like, okay, what am I going to do with this? Am I going to keep it or am I going to let it go? And if I'm going to let it go, I'm creating space for something else to come in, because maybe this no longer holds a meaning for me. Maybe it did before, but now that I know what I didn't know before, because now we had a full moon in Aquarius, I know something I didn't know before. Something just came up from the unconscious, something that we weren't aware of, got triggered, and it was brought up to the surface. And now that you know what it is that you want to let go of, to create space for this something new to come in, because now moon is in Aries. She's in Aries for the entire weekend. And, in Aries, she's conjuncting Chiron. She's going to conjunct the North Node. And she's going to make all these aspects, She's going to make all these aspects, all these positive aspects to everything in Leo. So Sun, Venus, and, also she's going to do other aspects. But all that said, there is this opportunity for something new, this new energy streaming through, because we just had a shock. We had a full moon in Aquarius. We had a shock. A lot of things were brought up to the surface. And it's like, okay, so now that I know we had this moon in Pisces, how do I feel about this? What do I want to let go? What do I want? What no longer holds a meaning for me? It just came to the end of the line, Pisces, the end of the zodiac, right? And now moon is in Aries. So there is this new excitement streaming through again that, okay, this actually creates a space for something new, something better, something that you choose in, because you are just rewriting the story of your life right now. I mean, I don't know if you guys know that, but literally that's exactly what's happening right now in the collective. We are purging the past to create a space for this something new. So in essence, we have the opportunity to rewrite the story of your life. You're rewriting the story of your life. So by letting go of the past aspects of yourself, which you are no longer resonating with, and they play their role, and we love them, and we have compassion for them, and we forgive ourselves for not knowing any better. But everything that happened until this point happened for a reason, to make you who you are right now. And that's exactly who you're meant to be, because you can always change it from now on. And yeah, and now moon is in Aries. So it's creating this blank canvas and it's saying, what do you want to be? Where do you want to go from now on? Because moon is the ruler of Cancer, and Cancer is your ego identity. So it's who do you want to be, right? And with the full moon in Aquarius, it is the opportunity for liberation, breaking free, because now that we know, we can heal that aspect of ourselves that we had to maybe reject or whatever and move forward, right? And yeah, and then we have a lot of aspects next week. And then, as I said, this is, again, the build-up is starting. The full moon happened. The universe was like, okay, let's give them a breather. Let's give them a moment, because it might have been heavy. There is a lot of things going on right now. So for the rest of the week, quiet, just integration, feeling into things, okay? But then next week, different story. Next thing, things are starting to move again. They're starting to build up towards the new moon in Leo. And now what is Leo? Leo is the essence of who you are. It's ruled by sun. Everybody's got their sun somewhere, and that's usually what people are the most familiar with. Their sun sign. When you ask someone like, what is your astrological sign? They all know their sun sign. Well, most of the people, okay? I'm not saying 100% of people knows, but majority of people, that's what they identify with the most. The sign of their birthday. When is their birthday? The sun sign. So Leo is the essence of who you are. It's that purpose that you came here to fulfill by doing what makes you happy, what makes you feel fulfilled, because you can creatively actualize. You can show the world who you truly are. Like the Leo on the stage, the main actress, the main actor, because we are all creators of our reality. Leo is all about creation, because nobody can copy you, because nobody will be able to create whatever you create in exactly the same way you are doing that, because that's an expression of who you are, of your essence, of your Leo. So that will be the new moon in Leo. So again, we just had a shock. Now moon allowed us to understand what potentially no longer holds a meaning. Now moon is in a Aries, and the new cycle begins. And then moon is gonna make her way to Leo, and on August 16th we're going to have the new moon in Leo. But before that take place, we're going to have the Lion Gate 8/8. But that's for another video, guys. I'm gonna leave it at that. I just wanted to acknowledge that this week has not been easy. So if you've gone through a lot of things, if there are some shocks that were brought to the surface in your life, or some past memories resurface, or some things triggered, unhealed wounding from the past, it is okay, because this is exactly the time when we have the opportunity to heal it, to move into this new. Because once we get to the age of Aquarius, by Pluto entering Aquarius, like fully, we there already. We can manifest so fast. And I don't know how about you guys, but this is something that I'm noticing, like in my reality, that things manifest much faster than before, the good and the bad. So be aware how powerful you are, what a powerful creator, because whatever you focus on, you manifest. So that's why we have the opportunity to heal the old wounding and the whole old trauma, and to take our power back from the other people's projection onto us, and all these kind of things that are going on where we externalize our power, so we can feel like competent. We can feel that we are like in the authority of our life, that we have the choice to make a new choice and therefore create whatever we want consciously, rather than the subconscious mind doing that. So anyway, half an hour in, I'm gonna leave it at this, and I will speak to you again soon, because I want to actually mention and name and analyze the aspects that are going to be happening next week, leading us towards this new moon in Leo, which will take place on August 16th. And so I'll leave that proper astrology, with all the details for another video. But I just wanted to share, because it's not been an easy week. And if you think that your week was very hard, and why is that happening to you, don't worry, you're not alone. You're not alone, in no way invalidating anybody's experience, but it's heavy, and it's like that for many people, especially us light workers, if you can say so, who came here to really work on our self-growth and help others and want to support others. This is the time of the purge, where we letting go of the past skin, we shedding the past identities, and anything like that, like a process of letting go and process of birthing the new. It's a messy process. It's not something that just falls from the sky and is all good. I mean, it's like that, right? So anyway, guys, I'm going now. I send you much love. I hope that this resonated. If it didn't, you probably tuned off like half an hour ago. And I wish you all a beautiful weekend. I hope on again soon, and I'll share the aspects of next week. Much love, and I'll speak to you again. Bye.